chocolate. We know we love it, but do we really know how it's made? How do we get from this cocoa pod to this bar of chocolate? We've come to Roast and Conch in Covent Garden to meet Angus Farewell, owner of Hotel Chocolat, one of the only chocolatiers in the world that own their own cocoa plantation.
The cocoa we're growing looks very similar to this. It grows all through the tree, comes out from the trunk as well as the branches of the tree. When the pods are ripe, our agricultural workers know the precise time to cut them from the tree with a machete. They're allowed to drop to the ground, and it's very important that they're left to mature on the ground for a couple of days. Then the pod is cracked open and the fleshy pulp is scooped out together with the beans. At this point it's very sticky, very wet, and the beans taste very bitter. The fermentation process takes about 4 to 7 days, and what really happens there is that the sweet pulp turns into an alcohol and a vinegar and runs away from the bean. What you're left with is a sticky clump of beans, which then are taken out and put onto drying racks in the sun. The beans are then roasted, and we control the temperature and the duration of roasting to make sure that we can get the very best taste out of every single bean that we use. The next stage is to crack the shell so that it is easy to separate it from the nib inside. That's with a small machine called a bean breaker. Then the next stage is to separate the shells from the nibs, which is another machine called a winnower. You can then begin the process of actually making the chocolate. Then we move into the conching process, which is where the volatile astringent flavour notes are evaporated off and you're left with a more mellow flavour. After conching, the chocolate is tempered, and that means that it's put through a temperature curve to organise the cocoa crystals into a helix formation, and that gives the chocolate its snap and its sheen. It means that the chocolate can be moulded into a block, which is then suitable for a chocolatier or a pâtissier to begin working with it.
We have now come to William Curley's Richmond shop to see what a master chocolatier can do with couverture chocolate.
We buy our couverture chocolate from a small company in Tuscany in Italy called Amidei. We've chopped them up here earlier on. It's a 66% chocolate, Toscana 66, a little bit fruity, maybe balsamic notes in there. Fabulous to eat on its own, but even better in a chocolate truffle. So we're now going to make a chocolate ganache, chocolate truffle. We take the cream, we have some whipping cream here, standard whipping cream, and we're going to bring that to the boil. So the cream is now coming to the boil, and we're just going to gradually pour the boiling cream over the finely chopped chocolate. Okay, once it becomes smooth and no lumps to it, we then gradually add the butter. So when your ganache is fully emulsified, ideally just put it in a cool dry place, allow it to thicken up, then we can pipe it into bulbs and then make our fabulous truffles. So we're now going to pipe the ganache into the shape of truffles. Very carefully. Just pipe bulbs onto a silicone lined tray. And the more you practice, the better you'll get. All ready to be dipped in tempered couverture chocolate. Okay, so we've now got a pan. It's called a porringer pan. So it's a bain-marie with some water in the base. We don't boil it, but we warm it up just under the boil. And we melt the chocolate here to between 45 and 50 degrees Celsius. Got some cocoa powder, real cocoa powder, pure cocoa powder. a little shake to take off any excess cocoa powder. There we are, the finished product. Royal Carolite Amade Toscana 66 house dark truffles.